Es ist Zeit bereit.
Good dog and welcome zurück. Good day. Hello and welcome back to another episode of your Pennsylvania Dutch Minute. I got a cool topic today. And for those of you that are of a certain generation, this video will probably bring back some memories for you. Did you know that there were days of the week in Pennsylvania Dutch culture that traditionally had certain activities associated with them? This is often found in poetry, in folk songs of the Pennsylvania Dutch that talk about what each day was. Now, it's 2023 and I'm coming to you with a video about the days of the week and their actions, and when we hear some of these you're going to think, boy, Pennsylvania Dutch women back in the day did everything. Well, we have to kind of think about living on a farm in the 1800s. The men were outside working the fields, milking the cows, making the farm go, and the wife, the mother, was at home on in the farmhouse doing the work that was necessary throughout the week. Of course, men helped with these chores too. I don't want anybody to think, oh, we're just throwing the women down. We're not doing that. But what I wanted to share with you is what each day traditionally was called, or what the other names for the days were, and what was the action or the duty associated with each of those days. Now, was this 100% true for every Pennsylvania Dutch family that Monday was always this day? I don't think we can make that statement. But for a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch housewives and families, they did follow this schedule. As most of you know, I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents on both sides of my families, and all four of them were Pennsylvania Dutch, my maternal and my paternal grandparents. And my maternal grandparents were born in the teens in 1915 and 1916. And they absolutely followed this schedule. My grandmother, these days that I'm going to talk about, these days were the days that my grandmother did these things. Now, was that just because that's how she was raised and that was built into her routine schedule? Probably. I never asked her, why do we always do this on this day? But that was just the way that it was. So as a kid, I actually lived these traditions, and maybe some of you did too. When we go through the list, you might say, "Oh yeah, my grandmother or my mother always did X on Tuesdays." Maybe now you realize why she might have done that. So without further ado, I do want to say that the information that I'm bringing to you, after doing a little bit of research here and there, because there are multiple versions of this. It might sound weird. Why isn't it all the same? There are some accounts in Pennsylvania Dutch literature that follow a certain Monday is always this, Tuesday is always this, Wednesday is always this. But I've also come across some folk songs. One in particular, "Wer goed leven wil," whoever wants to live good, dot, dot, dot. That's the name of the song. And then it explains what you should do each day of the week if you want to live good, live a good life, so to speak. Some of the days flip flop. So what I'm going to be presenting to you is what is the version of each day of the week that is the most, that lines up the most with each other, the most common answers for each of these days. And I'll be perfectly honest, for my childhood, these match almost exactly. So let's jump right into it. But before I do, I want to give a shout out to two people who specifically I leaned on a little bit for some help. I reached out to a good friend of the channel, Kevin Sterner, because he has a massive Pennsylvania Dutch library. I said, hey, just double check and make sure I'm not missing anything here. And I said, what are the days of the week associated with what you know? And then I also reached out to another good friend of the channel, Patrick Dunmore, director at the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center at Kutztown University. And I said, hey, just so that I'm on the same page, I don't want to say anything wrong, could you double check these? And also, what do you know, or what are you finding, or what do you find in for the days of the week? And he sent me some information too, and I correlated all those things together, and now here we go. Okay. So a shout out to Kevin Sterner. Thanks, Großdank, Kevin, and Großdank to the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center for their help in the production of this video as well. So here we go. Now, if you want to know the actual days of the week, I'm going to say them as well. Like, how do you say Monday in Pennsylvania Dutch? But I do have a separate video on that as well. That also covers the months, I think, in that video. So you can check that out if you want to just practice the actual days of the week to say them in Pennsylvania Dutch. But I am going to say them here in the video too. Without further ado, here we go. Let's start with Monday, because the Pennsylvania Dutch week starts on Monday. Monday in Pennsylvania Dutch is Mundog, and the traditional duty associated with Monday is Wäschdag. Wäsche is to do the laundry. So traditionally, Monday is when all of the laundry was done. And again, for my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, this was absolutely true. She did not do laundry every other day of the week or multiple days a week. everything was done on Monday. Now, we know that in our crazy world that we live in, most of us can't do that, especially if we have a family. I think about my family that I have, we're doing laundry multiple times a week. If we tried to do it all on Monday, well, my wife wouldn't be able to work, or I wouldn't be able to work because I help with the laundry too. But traditionally, these stay-at-home Pennsylvania Dutch farm wives, farm mothers, they would have had Monday was Wäschdag. And kids would have helped, of course, in this process as well. So Monday, Mundag, Wäschdag, when you did your laundry. Tuesday, Dinsdag. Dinsdag is Tuesday in Pennsylvania Dutch, is Bikkeldag. Bikkelen is the verb to iron in Pennsylvania Dutch. So traditionally, this is the ironing day. You did your laundry on Monday. You hung your clothes out to dry. Nobody had dryers back then, of course. And then you brought everything in, and then it had to be ironed. Again, this is something that my traditional Pennsylvania Dutch grandparents, both my grandmothers, this was a routine. Laundry on Monday. Tuesday was the day that they ironed the shirts and pants, if there were pants to be ironed, etc., etc. Are these starting to ring bells for you guys or bring back memories? I bet for some of you they are. All right, Wednesday, Mittwoch. Mittwoch is Wednesday, middle of the week in Pennsylvania Dutch, and that is Flickerdag. We're staying with the clothes. Monday you wash them, Tuesday you iron them, and Wednesday was the traditional flickerai. Flicker is to mend something or to fix, particularly with clothes. So that was the day that you mended. And I was thinking to myself, how many people mend their clothes anymore? Of course, in the culture that we live in today, clothes are relatively cheap and easily accessible. But if we think back to farm life in the 1800s, or even if you weren't on a farm, if you were a blacksmith or you had some other trade, clothes weren't easily accessible. A lot of people still, made their own clothes, or if they were buying clothes, they weren't being able to go down to Walmart and just buy 5 pairs of jeans for $50 or whatever. So women traditionally mended clothes. When your knee wore out, you mended it. Socks had a hole in it, you mended it. This idea of you don't throw anything away, and that's a big part of Pennsylvania Dutch culture, right? So Wednesday was the day that mom or grandmom or one of the older sisters or whatever would mend the clothes. Flickerdag, mending day. Thursday, Donnerstag. Donnerstag is Thursday in Pennsylvania Dutch, and this I have a typo here. Oh, I missed it. Schroos, Schtroosdagh. Sorry about that. Hopefully you caught me say that. Stroosdog was literally street day. It was the day you went out and ran your errands. You went down to the corner store to maybe get sugar, things that you couldn't grow on the farm. Think of things like that. Or you went to the mill to get flour or something along those lines. It was the day you went out and ran your errands. Maybe you went to the bank. Maybe you went to the post office. It was the day that you took no more clothes. Clothes are all done. You washed them, you ironed them, they're mended them. They're in the cut. They're in your dresser drawer now, and it's time to do your move on to the next thing. So next thing, Thursday, you went out and you did your running. You ran your errands. Okay, Strohstag, literally street day. Friday, no matter what you find or you look this stuff up, Friday is always Bakdog. Bakdog was the day that you baked, and you baked the whole day long, baking bread, baking pies, baking cakes, cookies, whatever. And then that was your baked goods. I mean, come on, think about the traditional Pennsylvania Dutch culture here. I'm sure a lot of you grew up in that. It's not uncommon to have a piece of type of cake for breakfast, for example, like AP cake or Montgomery pie or shoofly pie with a cup of coffee. So mom, grandmom, the older daughters in the family, you were baking on Friday, and that was a whole day event because think about how much you remember families were bigger back then too. You might have had 8, 9 kids you were trying to feed. So Friday was traditionally bakdog, baking day. Saturday, Samstag is Saturday in Pennsylvania. That is Putztag. Putze is to clean. So that was the traditional day that you would clean the house, sweep, mop, etc. Clean the windows. All of these things you could think of cleaning the house. And as most of you are probably familiar with, the Pennsylvania Dutch are clean, tidy people. The vast majority that is a stereotype, but it's a stereotype that rings true for a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch people. My mother swept the porch every day, whether it was dirty or not, right? And maybe you had those kinds of relatives in your family too. In other versions of the week, Saturday was also called Spickadag. Spickadag is this idea of courting. So if you were maybe a teenager or early 20s, this was the day that you went out courting Of course, you went out. Think about it. If you're not familiar with that term, maybe because you're younger, courting is to go out on a date. So maybe you picked up you were the oldest son in the family, and then you had your eye on one of the daughters down the road at one of the neighboring farms. You picked her up, and then you went out on a date. That was Saturday afternoon, Saturday evenings. That what you do. But if you were already married or whatever, I mean, thinking about not the average young Pennsylvania Dutchman and Pennsylvania Dutch girl, we're thinking about mom and pop. Well, then Saturday was Butztag, cleaning day. You hung out the lumpa mat, you hung out the rag rugs, and whacked them really good to get all the dust and the staub out and all these things. That was Saturday. And then, of course, traditionally for Sunday, you probably figure out which that one is. Sundag is Sunday. That was Karigdag. That was the day that you went to church. Also, I've seen Sunday, of course, after church. Then you had besuche. Besuche is to go visiting. Then you would visit other relatives or family friends. After church, Sunday lunch, and then in the afternoon you would go visiting. Maybe you visited family and spent the afternoon, or friends of the family you went and visited. These are things. Saturday night was also a traditional day for doing those types of things. People got together to play cards or to sing music or play music. So, I mean, like I said, these are, according to multiple sources, what are the traditional, and I'll put the air quotes around that, days of the week in Pennsylvania Dutch. Were these exactly what every Pennsylvania Dutch family did? No, of course not. There were variations, like I said. However, these rang true for a lot of, and like this was traditionally pretty true and accurate for a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch families. And like I said, if you are of a certain generation, maybe you can think back to your mother and father or your grandparents' generation and think, boy, grandmom did that. Monday was laundry day. Tuesday was ironing day. Thursday, they went to the store. Friday, she baked. Maybe that rings true for you. Let us know in the comment section down below what that was like. Is it true? Do these ring true for your family? If you're watching this on Facebook, put it in the comment section. If you're watching this on YouTube, put it down in the comment section. And if yours family ran a different weekly schedule, let me know what they did. Maybe Monday was bake day for your grandmother and Tuesday was wash day. I don't know. Put that in the comments. It's always cool to see what other people's experiences were. And again, people don't follow the schedule anymore. I think life has changed too much for us to be able to follow a schedule like this. Although there are certain things that even I myself, like I said, we in my household, we do laundry throughout the week. We don't have just one day of laundry day. And traditionally, whatever, things have changed. Sunday for us is still church day. Friday for us tends to be that's the day that I run my errands after work, go to the store, things like that. But things change, of course, because time has changed. But I mean, maybe some of you do kind of stick to this schedule. Maybe Monday is laundry day for some of you guys out there. Let me know. I'll be really curious to see. If you have an idea for a future video, of course, email me info@padutch101.com. I'd appreciate that. And I'll if it's a topic that I think I could do a video about, I'll definitely tackle it. Also, if you'd like to get your own Pennsylvania Dutch theme merch, check out our Zazzle shop, PA Dutch Stuff. There is a link in the show notes down below. And also, if you'd like to support what we do here financially, you can buy me a coffee. That link is also down below. All money raised through the Buy Me a Coffee campaign goes towards the upkeep of the channel. Again, a big shout out once more to Kevin Sterner and Patrick Dunmoyer at the Pennsylvania German Cultural Heritage Center for their help in this video. And I hope that all of you have a great week. Schedule it, goals, throw it back in the future. Pick a week and say, I'm going to do it old school style. Monday, I'm going to do laundry. Tuesday, I'm going to iron. Wednesday, I'm going to mend. I'll see you guys mend your clothes. Who's doing that anymore? Ooh, the most I do is sew a button back on. Because socks are so cheap. I don't think I'd sew holes in my socks shut. I'd just order new ones on Amazon. But times have changed. Maybe we should come up with a 2023 version of the Pennsylvania Dutch Week, and one of those days is shopping on Amazon. I don't know. That might be sacrilege for some of you. I don't know. But thinking about how can we turn it around and say, okay, 100 years from now, what are people going to say the Pennsylvania Dutch people did during their week in 2023? That kind of might be a good thought experiment there. Put those answers in the comment sections down below too. Dear friends, keep practicing your Pennsylvania Dutch and Max gut.
Max gut, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And schlock that notification bell.